Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Chaz Price. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. The website, arhq.com. Guys, the fallout continues from the bank failures. It turns out that Ohio's public employee pension funds lost more than $30 million in the collapse, which is not reassuring news if people are out there depending on that pension. If someone is actually worried about the plan going underfunded or even worse than that, broke, is taking a lump sum payout a good idea?
Well, you certainly want to know what the financial health of the company that is providing your future income needs. At the same time, you want to be careful not to make, again, one of those short-sighted decisions, because when you make a decision on your pension, it's an irrevocable, non-changeable decision. One of the things that we can do is we can run a pension maximization for you. We'll explain to you here in a minute what that looks like. But let me give you a couple of examples. Recently, I had a lady who would come into the office. She was not married, had no children. And when we looked at what her monthly payout would be from her retirement, in my opinion, it was so much better for her to take the monthly payout based upon not being married, no children, wanting to get the most predictable income for life, than to take that lump sum payout. Because, if she took that lump sum payout, the rate of return that she would have had to earn was really, in my opinion, too high, because you have to say in the markets, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. And even though fixed rates are much higher today than where they were a couple of years ago, the monthly payout could have been the right choice. There's another person that recently came in and had us help them out with this pension maximization strategy. When we looked at their situation, Randy had done a great job saving and investing for their future. He had a 401k, other investment assets. And in this case, his family was important to him. And the lump sum allowed him to take that money and invest it the way that he wanted. And then he has the potential not only to live off of that income, he also has the potential where that money can pass not only to his wife, but any money they didn't spend, it could pass on to the kids. So in two situations, it's one of those that you don't take the advice at the water cooler. You have to look at your own individual situation. And I know, Chaz, when you get that question, what are the tips that you're giving back to people?
That's a good question. We get this a lot because we do have a lot of public employees as clients. And I think it's definitely an area where you can shed some light on the subject, and working with a financial planner can really help, because there are a lot of variables that go into making that decision. I mean, the first point, if you go right to OPER's website, it tells you what the rate of returns last year were, which they weren't great. And I don't think it comes as any surprise that the fund itself is underfunded by about 15% or so, according to their website. And so you have to take that into consideration, in that what's important to you when it comes to money. Because when you have a pension, you're already part of the fortunate few, I would agree. I mean, in 1980, in our presentation we do, Nolan, at BGSU, we talk about 1980, maybe 30% of the population had access to pensions. Today, it's about 8%. And having a guaranteed source of income that you cannot outlive is a very valuable resource when it comes to retirement. So it is definitely a decision that you don't want to take lightly, and you definitely want to get some assistance with, because the concept to me comes down to generally what you said, which is, what sort of dollar amount would I need to have saved in the 401k to generate the sort of income that the pension can provide? And if it's not, if it's a lot more than what the lump sum balance is in that OPERS pension, it may not be the best decision. So you kind of have to look at some of the aspects of longevity. How long am I expected to live? Also, what are the current interest rates at the time? Because that does affect what sort of payout you can generate with the lump sum, depending on what the interest rates are. And interest rates are really good right now. So if you reviewed the pension a few years ago when interest rates were much lower, that decision might look a lot different. Also, flexibility. Do you have a need for a lump sum? I worked with one client recently. I'll tell the story. Teresa, OPERS employee, cashing out, not sure what to do with the money, but definitely wanted to be tax free. That was debt free. That was a goal of hers. And so, the lump sum made a lot of sense in that case. So I think just having the ability to talk through some of the considerations and to assess what the impact is of each decision on your long-term probability of success. Again, kind of managing to that number. Is it 90%? Is it 70%? Meaning if one strategy that we take improves your probability of success, that's probably the one we're going to look at. So a lot goes into it. That's generally what I'll suggest is if you're not sure exactly what the implications are, come in, have us set up for you a financial plan that can assess longevity, inflation, and just risk in general of running out of money. And in whatever scenario results in the highest probability of success, we'll probably recommend that.
And that's exactly what you get when you get that Pension Max strategy run for you. When we look at it on a monthly pension, we're going to look at reliable income, and we're going to compare what that reliable income would be, compare that to what you can get in the industry today with other insurance products that are out there that can provide typically the income for the rest of your lifetime, either single or joint life. Monthly pension is nice for risk transfer. So somebody else has taken the responsibility of the management of the assets and that longevity risk, transferring it away from the pension person. You get some lack of flexibility with a monthly pension, so sometimes your options become more limited with investment choices. Some of them do offer inflation protection, a nice way to be able to get an increase in income if inflation has been something that you're worried about. Where on the lump sum payment, you get more control and flexibility, which then number two gives you a lot more investment opportunities. You do have to be careful about taking on the longevity risk, but you do have the ability where it could provide additional benefits. Again, usually besides your life, your spouse's life, there could be a possibility if you wanted to leave money to like your adult children, that could be possible in the lump sum. You just really have to be financially disciplined, which is why, again, you need to go through a planning process. So if you're blessed enough that you have a pension and you're within 2 to 5 years of deciding to select that pension, or heck, even if you're getting ready to decide to take your pension in the next 30 days, let's run an analysis for you. Let's run this pension maximization and determine what might be your best approach, because keep in mind that decision that you make is irrevocable. So you only get one shot at getting it right, and we'd be happy to run that pension max strategy for any of our listeners.
Again, as a way of saying thank you guys for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters, tuning in, that pension maximization strategy, being able to run for you complimentary, similar to Social Security, which is another form of guaranteed income that when you set out in the working world, you had the understanding you were going to get it. Now, the financial stability of both of those things may cause you to take pause and want to get as much as possible, and that might seem like getting as much as you can as soon as possible. Turning on Social Security at 62, claiming this lump sum strategy, not necessarily going to be the right move. Could be, but you really need to sit down and do the math, run the numbers, or better yet, have the team at America's Retirement Headquarters run the numbers for you and figure out what's going to work best for you, because at the end of the day, that is what is most important in your retirement. 419-794-3030 is how you get started, how you start running those numbers. 419-794-3030 or arhq.com.